Hello and welcome to Talking Points, episode 72. With a difference, you can't see my face because my camera is shagged. No, that's not the phrase I should be using. My camera's not working properly. Anyway, let's get into the show. Talking Points, episode number 72. It seems strange when I can't see myself on here, but I'm going to keep on going. Yes, we are talking about that game yesterday. What was the fallout from the Battle of the Bridge? Number 2. That's what I like to call it. Number 2 Battle of the Bridge. In the house, we're joined by Sean Hurl, Sid Spurs. And before we get into it, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button for this stream. And we'll try and bring you as much content as we can. Okay, let's get into this then, gentlemen. The game yesterday. It certainly was exciting, wasn't it? Probably not the greatest performance in the world from a Spurs team. Chelsea dominated possession, but then I was looking back at some of the stats. We even looked back at some of the stats in the reviews yesterday. They had 3 shots on target. We had 5. So in terms of going for goal, we went for goal. And I've never seen a game won by artistic impression. Do you know? Never seen a game won if you've got 99% possession. You don't get an extra point for that. So all these Chelsea people talking about, oh, you were lucky. Well, no, we weren't, because luck is part of football. There you go. Rant over. Gentlemen.
A bit of a hot take there, Sam. Yeah?
Just a little bit, because I was getting all kinds of things on bloody WhatsApp groups today. Talking about, you got unlucky. What are you talking about? We've done that 4 times last season, you know, so luck is part of football. And if you're lucky till we get a corner, we put a corner right on the money and Harry Kane scores from it, so be it. I'll have that luck every day of the week. But the game itself, there was a lot of drama. It was 2 managers. Very, very tactically astute. If I'm honest with you, initially I would say that Tuchel won the battle of the tactics, but when it come down to the fisticuffs, there was no winner. There was no winner other than Antonio Conte. I don't know if you've seen the memes that have gone around where it's showing when they were squaring up. Conte's got his hand balled up in a fist ready to punch. Tuchel's got his hands like ready to slap. That's the difference between our managers. Our managers are ready to rumble. Their managers are ready to slap. None of that. None of that. Anyway, that's what I wanted to start on. Tuchel versus Conte. The tactical styles yesterday it was very, very apparent. Tuchel, I give him credit. He set his team up. He set up in a formation that allowed him to be able to convert from a back 3 to a back 5, even into a back 4 at times. It was really good to see, because they basically had Loftus-Cheek on the wide areas, and then when we were trying to get down the sides, they made a 5 at the back. Reece James tucked inside. Tuchel had his number, and I was thinking this is going to be a long day. Eventually, they got their goal. Conte had to change, and this is what we've talked about previously. Is there a plan B? So, start with you, Sean. The tactical styles. How do you think that came out in terms of, because we all watched the game, we all saw what Chelsea did. Ultimately, it was a draw. Points shared. Do you think who won that battle of the tactical side of things?
I mean, it was a very tactical game, and I would say that probably Tuchel in the first half had negated us. I mean, our whole of our left side was lost. You know, it was lost in the game and never really recovered, to be fair. But what we have in Conte is probably one of the best reactive coaches in terms of changing things. And, you know, he had to change things twice in order to score the 2 goals. And he did, and we took the point. And, you know, hell mend those people still petitioning on Twitter to have the referee cancelled. You know, it's unbelievable. It's you know, it felt like a win, and we would celebrate it like a win. And, you know, what I loved about it was it was very much a team effort. I saw a video of the bench as the Kane's goal went in. All as one, they jumped up and cheered. You know, in fact, the first person to do it was Spence, and he wasn't even picked yesterday. So
exactly,
just goes to show, you know, it's he's building that band of brothers. You know, and we did a job in the end. You know, I mean, it wasn't perfect. We were, you know, and that was down to Tuchel's initial setup. The space that I thought we were going to get when I thought they were going to pick, as we've got, I always stumble over this.
Aspilicueta.
Aspilicueta. Yeah.
Aspilicueta.
Yeah. So him and and Reece James didn't emerge because he went with Hudson-Odoi. So and you know, I mean, I saw a lovely video on Tifo on the Athletic site, and it kind of showed how they just created loads and loads of overloads on us in the first half. And we're, you know, to be fair, we were lucky to be just one down, but that was because they didn't have a striker. You know, and that's, you know, that goes to show that, you know, all the possession, as you said earlier, in the world means nothing if you don't put the ball in the onion bag.
Yeah, yeah. You have to put that ball away. Sterling was guilty of one that was blazed over the bar. I had a bit of a laugh with people say you don't get tries in football. You know, you only get tries in rugby. So kicking it over the bar is not going to help you score. Havertz, again, had an opportunity. Good save from Lloris there. But yeah, you're right. I think definitely from a tactical point, from my perspective, I think Tuchel had the number. But ultimately, what we wanted, what I've certainly wanted from Conte is, have you got a plan B? Are you going to change things when clearly there was overloads in that midfield area? At some points there was 4 or 5 players from Chelsea in there against our 2. Even when Harry Kane came in to make 3, they added another one in there because Reece James would follow him into that middle area, and it's sometimes out of 5 players. So I just think that Tuchel had that side of things, but I'm glad to see Conte, even though he went to a 4-4-2 at times and it was a 4-2-4, I think he could have changed it back, but ultimately Perisic came on, did what he needed to do with that corner, and Harry Kane got the winner. It felt like a winner. The draw, shall we say? Sid, in terms of the squad differences, do you think that Conte is happy that we've matched Chelsea from an aggression point of view, from the mentality side of things? Is there a difference in the 2 squads in terms of personnel? And what I mean by that is, who would you say has got the better squad currently?
Looking at it yesterday, like you both said, Tuchel got it spot on in terms of managing the tactics and managing the players and getting them to do what he exactly wanted them to do. Whereas Conte, I don't think, got the players to do what they wanted to do. Like, Son went missing for the whole game. Kane went missing on and off, trying to come deep to create stuff, and it just wasn't working. Whereas Chelsea is a settled team. Every single player knows exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and they're pressing game and nullifying Spurs and their key players. Whereas we couldn't nullify their players because every time they attacked in numbers, and you knew, like, oh shit, something's going to happen here, because
it's definitely oh shit.
Yeah, it was just, oh shit, here we go again. Because a lot of times, and I was just having a conversation just before we came on air with Sean. Conte needs to sit him down and show him the art of defending and what to do, because all he does is, if you watch it, he just runs parallel with the player that's attacking. He doesn't he doesn't do anything. He doesn't close him. He doesn't do anything. There's a gap between them two, and he just runs with him, and then he sticks his foot out. Right? For the Reece James goals, again, he was the closest player. He just, apart from Ben Davies, he didn't come back, and he just stands there. So in them terms, I think Tuchel got it spot on. Aggressive wise, I think we've always been a soft touch, apart from Romero and when we had Lamela as well. But now, I think yesterday, Romero, Richarlison's got it in him. We know Højbjerg can do it when he wants. And I think first 70 odd minutes, I think Chelsea aggressively, they were proper at it, this, that, the other. We weren't matching them. And then I think when Richarlison came on is when we started showing a bit of grit, a bit of fight. Because when you got somebody like him who wants to win it and give a lot of crap, because I think the commentator, who was it that said it? Somebody said it, that he must have been sat on.
I'm going to hold your thoughts there, because I want to talk about the players in terms of their part in terms of the battle of the bridge. Yeah. But the last part on this bit is, who would have won the fight? If they let it go, who do you think would have won? Because I'm thinking, I saw Conte when Tuchel pulled him back and told him he didn't look him in his eyes. I was thinking, this guy, two-faced Tommy is what I'm now going to call him, because he did exactly that. I don't know if you've seen the meme that's gone around with Sean Dyche. Yeah. he just didn't even look at Sean Dyche, and he kind of had the same sort of, look on his face as if to say, "What are you doing?" So him pulling him back, they should have let him go, because I reckon there was going to be some real fisticuffs, and I don't think Tuchel would have come out on top. He was definitely looking like a pit bull, was Antonio Conte against the Great Dane, and I think there was only one winner, personally.
Do you know what, Sam? And you're gonna laugh at this, right? But Tuchel must have been watching Robin Hood, right, before he went into that game, yeah. And it was look into my eyes, look into my eyes. Anyway, but what he didn't realize was it was the Prince of Thieves who stole the point off him, so he got it completely wrong.
I reckon if, like I said, that it looked like they were going to go swinging. At the end, there was people in between. I thought this is going to really rumble. They did well to kind of, but then even as they were walking off, you saw, I think, was it your favorite name, Sean? Aspilicueta was doing some finger jabbing, and then I saw Conte doing some finger pointing as well. He didn't give a toss that they were his ex-players, or some of them were his ex-players. He just wants to win. And I love that. His press interview, post game interview, shall we say? You could see he was still hard, but he didn't want to talk about the incident. But if you notice, he didn't then call him Thomas or anything like that. He just said the opposition manager or something to that.
The other coach.
The other coach. That was it. The other coach.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know if
shows me. Well,
I don't know if you both saw it, yeah. But on all the videos that circulating on Twitter, when we scored that equalizer, did anyone see what happened to Conte? Because he just jumps into the tunnel and then he disappears. You can't see him. He's gone. Because I watched it a few times. Because when you mentioned about Spence and Soz, when they put their arms around each other and yeah, I'm looking for Conte and I'm like, where is he? And then I watched it about 3 times, and he runs towards the tunnel. He jumps, and it looks like he's been swallowed by something because he disappears.
Oh shit, Sean, who do you think would have won that Royal Rumble?
Well, is it a case of a good little one will beat a lanky weak one? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly. In those few moments, you saw how much Conte wanted to come away with that with something. Whether it was a point. And I think the adage we need to remember and keep telling ourselves: if you can't win, don't lose, and that's what Tottenham are all about.
Yeah, and that's what Conte's all about. I think he even realised, because he wasn't negative in any way, even after that game towards Chelsea. He admired how they play. He says obviously they're a good squad and all the rest of it, which again, that's respect. That's showing respect. Tuchel, again, I'm not sure about him in terms of this. He reminds me, and I don't know if I'm not going to say it's a German thing, but Klopp, not a very good loser. Not a very good loser at all. No, I'm not saying you have to be, oh, great, I've lost the game. But what I'm saying is you have to be respectful to anybody's tactics that they employ to do whatever needs to be done. Klopp never likes any other team to play something different to this open, expansive football. But every team that does that against Liverpool usually loses. So why would you do that? Chelsea, again, I think Tuchel did brilliant with his tactics, but he didn't ultimately win. They didn't create enough shots on target. We created more. So that's what football's about, how many goals you score. So yeah,
I mean, it was a triumph for the reactive tactics of Conte. He changed the formations. He got us back by going to a 4. He got us back to 1-1. What he should have then done is go back to the 5, but he didn't, and he continued, and that's how they got their second goal. But and also look at the bench. Look at the players that we could bring on from the bench, and that is absolutely key. Richarlison really messed about with them. He gave that block he did on Silva was absolutely first class, because it sort of said, I'm here to mean business. Yeah.
Look at this comment here. Tino football. I love this one. Breaking news: German coach found swimming with the fishes. Forget about it. I like that indeed, because that's what I think just gives that hitman, the hitman who looks Italian, but I know he's not Italian. He was there.
Can you leave his son-in-law?
Oh, is that his son-in-law? Yeah, I keep forgetting it's his son-in-law. He looks like a proper hitman. He looks like if you said
ex-army,
do it, he's going to go off and that's going to be sorted. Concrete boots, the rest, all that sort of stuff. That's what he looked like to me. And he was in the midst. So they were all ready to rumble. But let's get on to the next part anyway, because this is where you was touching on, Sid, about Richarlison. People like Richarlison, Romero. I agree with you. When Richarlison came on, it upped the ante in terms of the aggressiveness. We know that Romero was probably doing a lot of that aggressive style, but I would not say he got started on initially, but they were kind of like doing things to kind of wind him up. And I think they were targeting him to get him sent off. They know he's our best defender. Get your best defender sent off. You ain't going to do much with Sanchez coming on in the place. But it didn't work. The hair pull on Cucurella was fabulous. I thought this wig should have come off. If his wig had come off, then it would have been, oh, he's got a wig on. But he hasn't. He's obviously his hair. But go on. Tell me about the aggressive nature of Spurs that kind of turned with the substitutions, particularly with Richarlison.
You know, right, when I think he must have been sat on that bench, right, and he must have been thinking, this game is made for me. I need to get on that pitch now because enough is enough. I need to go on there and show them how it should be done, right? And he came on, and I think there was one incident where I can't remember who it was, but the ball was at the right side of their defender, and Richarlison had not a cat in hell's chance of getting that ball, but he ran and he dived and he put his foot in, and the ball went out for a throw into them.
Yeah.
And from that, I knew that this guy is proper up for it. And when he's up for it, then obviously Kane's captain of England and captain, you know, when he was at Spurs before Lloris and whatever, he probably then gets it into his players. Then Eric Dyer's probably thinking, whoa, he's up for it. I'm coming up for this now. Obviously, he's already got history with them. And then Romero's already doing it. Then Højbjerg gets involved. You know what I mean? Bissouma then gets involved. So he then sort of led the cavalry, in my opinion. And I think from there, and then you got Perisic came on as well. And I think from there, it just went stronger and stronger. And then the whole team just thought, you know what? Let's do this now. You know what I mean? We've got them fans behind them shouting, singing their heads off. Now let's give it to Chelsea. And he did. You know what I mean? I mean, even when the goal went in, he was looking towards Kane. He went celebrating to Kane, but then he was looking at Romero doing the shithousery in front of Reece James. So it was brilliant. You know what I mean? 15, 20 minutes he came on. I think he sort of changed the game and influenced us getting that draw. Yeah.
I think it was definitely an influence. But what I also liked about him, when obviously it's the fighting spirit, as you was alluding to as well, Sean. When you looked at the bench, every one of them players, even the ones that just travelled because they weren't in the match day squad, they were there. When it was like, it looked like it was going to be an over the top Royal Rumble battle. All of them come on the pitch, and I was thinking, this, as much as people think, oh, we shouldn't be seeing this level of whatever you can call it, aggression, violence. I don't. It wasn't violence, but it was certainly aggressive. You want to see that in a London derby. I think Conte really wanted the players to show that. Now, I think he did, and I think it worked out a treat because that's what effectively got us that goal. You know, the way that we kind of pushed and, you know, we went in for tackles. That one where, you know, Bentancur got the sliding tackle in, which the referee clearly saw, touched the ball. They're moaning about that for the first goal. We're doing everything to get a corner. We get two corners in a row because we're you know, Perisic on one side and goes on to the other side again. Who's up in the air? There's three Tottenham players. There was Harry Kane who got the header. There was behind him was Lucas Moura, and then behind him was Richarlison. And if you look at a picture, even if Harry Kane had missed, one of them other two was going. That's why Richarlison went off to look like he'd scored the goal, because he thought he did probably. Did you enjoy the new mentality that these players are showing, and how can we now maintain that?
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but be, be impressed by the mentality. I mean, as you say, the fact that they didn't lie down, you know, and I think that's probably one thing that we were all saying: don't lie down. If we lose the game, you know, at least go out dying on your feet, sort of thing, you know. All I kept thinking was there's a guy sitting in Seville, maybe watching the game on TV, thinking, how I'd love to be in that game. Could you imagine Lamela and Romero? Oh my God.
I think one of them would have got sent off.
Oh my God. That was that was just sweet. Someone mentioned that in the tweet, so that was that certainly tickled me today. The thought of Lamella, saying, "Oh damn, I wish I was playing." But and even Vertonghen has put a tweet out saying the best game in the best fixture in the Premier League. He says so. He obviously enjoyed the battles against Chelsea as well. So. Yeah, no, it's great that I love the fact that the players defended the boss too when it all came on top and got around him and tried to make sure nothing untoward. But I bet they're also saying to themselves, "What the hell is he going to tell us at training today?" Because they would have known in their heart of hearts, and Harry Kane said so in the post match. We didn't play well. They know they didn't play well. And I imagine watching that video today will be a horror show. And I can imagine Conte going through a few of them, for lack of application.
To be fair, though, Sean, I think Conte's got as much to look at himself for that as the players, because I think the players weren't helped at certain times, particularly the midfield, by the system. We know that the wing-backs didn't play well. When I looked at Reece James crossing in comparison to R2 in Sessegnon and obviously Emerson, who has started the game, it was chalk and cheese. That cross that he put in that Havertz missed was just criminal because it should have been in the goal. So I think that Conte will be pleased because we didn't lie down. He knows we can play better, but we know that good teams, very, very good teams can play badly and get a result, particularly away from home. Now, we don't win against Chelsea. So for us to come away with a 2-2 draw in the 96th minute, for me, I'll be telling that to the players. Listen, you didn't play well. We can go through the video. We can do all this. I didn't help you. This is what I'd be saying for last context. I didn't help you by the system and all the rest of it. But we know that we can get ourselves out of jail regardless. And we did that a lot last season. That's the benchmark now. That's our benchmark. We can't fall below that. We can't have a game where we're losing and the players don't put in the fight, because all you have to do is go back to that. So we should now be up for all these games. Sid, is this new mentality what you want to see, or do we have to be careful? Because I know a lot of us were talking on the groups today about Romero might have to be careful about, picking up yellow cards, red cards. Højbjerg Bissouma is probably the same. He picked up a lot of yellow cards last season. Does that matter? Do we have to be concerned about that?
Yes and no. I want Romero. I want Bissouma. I want Højbjerg in games like Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea. I want them to step it up a couple of notches. Let their oppositions know that, listen, don't mess with us. We're here, and we're going to let you know we're here. We're not going to fall over. And play aggressively. Use your loaf, obviously.
That will be slang for lose your head.
Yeah.
People.
For
those who don't know, Cockney slang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Use your head a little bit. And just do what you got to do. But to a certain degree. And then in games where other games, the Southamptons and the Villas and places like that, you just step it down a notch or two. You still do your whatever you're doing, but just step it down one or two, because the big London games and the big City, Arsenal's and all, Chelsea's and all them games is where you need to let them know, because the fans are going to be behind you. They'll want you to do that, but don't get over excited. Just give it to them once and then just let them know you're there, and then that's it. But like you said, everyone gets yellow cards, and I've seen it in games where I think last season Eric Dyer got a yellow card in the first 5 minutes. You just got to control yourself then for the rest of the game. You know what I mean? Somebody else has got to take over. And it's a team game. So if your team knows that you've just took one for the team, then they've got to come back in now and take one for the rest of the team and back you up and look after you.
Palace have just scored.
Have they? Superb.
Well, we'll be finishing soon to get this second half in. Oh, dear me. Could this be a good weekend? Anyway,
that's what we like to hear.
Open Fred equals head. I like that. I like that a lot.
That's for our international fans.
I'll put it up for you, because you did quite. You was looking down. Loaf of bread equals head. So,
loaf of bread equals head.
So use your loaf. Use your loaf. Okay then. So last part of this show today, Plan B. Now we kind of touched on this before in previous shows where we've talked about, is there a Plan B for Conte? That starting 11, I didn't argue with it because I understood the reasons why, not changing the winning team, all the rest of it. But I think that's the last time we're going to see that starting 11 start for a little while, in my personal opinion. I think Perisic has to come in 100%, unless there's an injury to Doherty, because he doesn't seem to want to play Spence yet because of obviously he's a youngster and he's only just joined in. He hasn't had the pre-season with us. Unless Doherty's injured, I think Doherty should be coming in for the next game against Wolves personally again. And that midfield, whether or not we start Bentancur and Basuma or Højbjerg and Basuma, Basuma's got to play for me. I really do think he's that talented. And even saying that, he looked and we saw Son was quiet in that game. Kulishevsky was quiet in the game. Kane obviously popped up with the winner. So again, he was quiet, but did what he needed to do at the end. Winner. I keep saying winner. Like, he popped up with the equaliser. But yeah, I think that Richarlison's definitely pushing through a starting place against Wolves. Your thoughts on that, Sean, firstly? Plan B and what's your thought about this, the formation changes, possible formation change, player changes that might happen for the game at the weekend?
Well, I think I probably agree with you that there are some players who might do, but then again, it might be that it was just the fact that Tuchel negated those players this week, and we'll go again. I don't know. I think in the case of both Doherty and Perisic, it is nursing them back to fitness through an injury that's causing the issue. And I want to say a word for Emerson, because there's obviously a bit of an issue with the strikers, because they don't. I mean, there was one cross in the first half which was absolutely perfect on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Kane is obviously thinking it's not going to come to me. It's not going to come to me, and he didn't really bust the gut to get there. And that was a free header from 6 yards out. I mean, if he put the burners on, so let's not give Emerson too much dirt at the moment. I thought he was okay in the first half, but obviously, and as we struggled in the second half. But yeah, our width was dreadful throughout the game, no doubt about it. But I think we put that down to Tuchel, not necessarily down to the individuals. But yeah, they need to be spoken about. There are people willing to come on to into the game now. Son shouldn't be thinking I can do performances like that yesterday, and I'll still be picked for Wolves. I think Richarlison did more in his 30-minute cameo than Son did in his whole 70-minute whatever. So
what do you think is going to happen then come weekend? Because again, it's very interesting. It's a home game. It's against Wolves. Wolves are not in the best form at the moment, based off the back of last season. Anyway, I think this is a game where we should now be looking to start other players, at least, as I said, minimum Perisic. I think if he's 100, not even 100%, if he's 90%, because most players are never 100% fit, but if he's in them 90s, he's got to play for me. He really has to, because the quality that was just on his set pieces alone is enough to get him in the team. But what he can do, both feet, you can't defend that very easily. You don't know if he's going to go past you and go down the line and cross it on his left foot, or is he going to cut inside on the right and, play integrated there. Sid, what's your thoughts? Oh, sorry, go on, Sean.
No, but based on yesterday, I mean, you'd certainly say Perisic should be picked ahead of Sessegnon, but I don't know. We don't know how serious this injury has. It certainly seems to be something that they're concerned about, and I think the sports science people will make that decision for Conte. To be honest, I think the medical staff will say if he can play or not. I would like to see, Spence get a cameo, sort of 20 minutes, 15 minutes towards the end of the game on Saturday, isn't it? Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
12:30 kickoff.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think there might well be changes, but in Conte I'll trust, and he'll pick the team, and he'll know more about them, having bollocked them today and sweated them for the rest of the week.
Yeah. I think you're right in that. He's gonna obviously have a week to prepare, or just under a week, and it will be a different game. Will Wolves go to a three at the back themselves? They haven't got Connor Cody at the moment. I think he's injured, is he not?
Sid? He's on loan. He's on loan to Everton.
Have they gone to Everton now? I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Catch up, Sam. Catch up.
God, that's how much I don't care about other teams at the moment. When did that happen?
Last week, just before the weekend.
Oh, blimey. I think it's a big coup for Everton. I reckon they're definitely gonna play a back three. He's not a two, so they're gonna be into a back three, which means that we might have a bit of a difference in how Wolves approach the game. Sid, what's your thoughts about this plan B then? Do you think that these new signings that we got are just there to bolster the squad, or are there some, and I think we know the answer to this, there are some that are going to now push for starting places?
Right. So just before I move on, Zaha's just had the freedom of Selhurst Park on a counter-attacking goal from he's ran almost half the pitch to score. But I think this weekend, right, it's a home game again. So a couple of the players after yesterday's game that started, like you said, Sam, will be looking over their shoulders now. They'll be looking back over their shoulder. And I think Perisic is going to be in for a start, I reckon. I think Basuma might come in because I think Bentancur was sort of not at the races against Chelsea. And unfortunately for Mr. Calvin Klein, he's going to have to be careful because he could end up being Calvin Curb this weekend. So,
dear.
You know what I mean? He might, because I know everyone's entitled to a bad game, but he was just bad, full stop. So I don't know whether Conte's trusts in him to carry on doing what he's doing, which we know he's capable of doing. I mean, he could have a worldly against Wolves on Saturday, but I think.
Let me just add this. Just Juice Nuts has made a good point. No Conte on the sideline this weekend. If you watch both those managers at the weekend, Tuchel and Conte, they're very aggressive in their coaching the players through the games. Conte's constantly, getting players into positions. If he's not there on the sidelines, it might be more difficult for, let's say, newcomers to play in that game. I'm looking at Spence because, he's going to need to be possibly coached a lot by coaching through the game. He does that with Sessegnon quite a lot, and he does that with Emerson quite a lot as well. So I'm not sure now, based on this comment, that we might see too many wholesale changes. I think there might be one or two, and it might be the one or two experience. And I'm looking at possibly Perisic, possibly Basuma, maybe Richarlison. But I don't see someone like Spence maybe starting this game or even playing in this game.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Who does Basuma replace, though?
I think Bentancur.
I've one of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Either one, and I think Richarlison can replace.
I don't think he replaces Højbjerg.
No, I don't.
I agree as well. I don't think he replaces Højbjerg, but in my opinion,
and why should Bentancur be dropped?
In my opinion, I think if you're going to play a player like Basuma, because I think he's the best player of those midfielders that we've got. Bentancur is very good as well. Don't get me wrong, but I've seen what Basuma does in big games against big teams. Even in the little cameo that he had at the weekend, there was a point where he lost the ball, and then he was one of the first midfielders to get back into the box, one of the first players to get him back into us to defend it. So his engine, his all-round ability, his press resistance means that I think he should be starting, particularly in a game at home against Wolves, where you can give him that, because at the end, did you see that thing he was doing, the Brighton thing that he used to do, the clock thing? He looks like he's ready to be part of everything. So give the guy a chance at a game against Wolves. It's not on paper the hardest game that we're going to have this season. Why wait till? Yeah, go on, Sid. Sorry.
No,
I was just going to say, why wait till we're playing X team or not? Sometimes I think you've got opportunities to play players just to see how they perform. Home game, we're all going to be behind the players because we're still on a high from the first two games at the moment. So the crowd's going to be there. We're going to be. Are you going to be there, Sean? As well?
No, not this week.
Oh, not this weekend. But you're there, Sid. I'm there, Sid. So we're going to be singing my bloody heart out. So I want to see players get an opportunity so we can pull them through, so they can know that they're part of it. When you don't change 100%. The team, we could have a Steven Bergwijn situation here. I don't want to see that happen with our players. So, yeah.
Why not play all three of them? Why not play all three of them and give that one a go? Because we can play with them three. Have them one behind and two in front. It can be possible. But it'll be an interesting one. But yeah, you're right. At some point, he has to start. And if you're gonna start him at home in front of the fans, so the fans get on it. You know what I mean? Shout his name, get this, that, the other. Because at some point he will have to start. And I agree with what you're saying as well, Sean. Both for Bentancur and Højbjerg, you can't drop them because obviously they both had decent games. But I think if you're gonna do it, I'd sort of. I know Højbjerg scored the other day, but it's a tough one. Honestly, it's a tough one.
Don't get me wrong; it's not an easy decision. What would you do, Sean? Because I don't think it's an easy decision to take one of those two out, because we know how both those players were part of, from that February point onwards, were part of how we got to the Champions League. I know Arsenal effed up, but they were quite clear. We had no Oliver Skip, so we were reliant on these two players. But this is the point. We now have an opportunity to play a player who's of equal ability, if not better, and give one of them a rest just to see how he plays.
I mean, I would take issue with Craig's assessment there that he should be replacing Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg's skill sets are not what Bissouma brings. I think Bissouma's closer to Bentancur. So if you're going to play a two, it would have to be Højbjerg and Bissouma. I quite like the idea of a three, but who do you drop from the front line? Based on performance on Sunday or yesterday, I would say it was Son that would need to go to the bench. But I don't know how ruthless. I don't know how.
I'm going to give Son a little bit of leeway. He was man-marked in that game. Reece James, everywhere he went, he was there. Now, Son needs to expect this, and he needs to change his game. But as well as what the attacking side, his defensive side wasn't very good. And I've seen that defensive side being not very good quite a number of times from Son. So sometimes with that, we know that he can pop up with a goal. We know that he's got that pace. We know that he's good on the assist with Harry Kane. But we got to see this partnership broken up to see if we can do something without them two being together on the pitch at the same time, all the time.
The game's about defense and attack.
Yep.
And Son has to realise that, he has a role in stopping goals as well as scoring them.
But you know what? The biggest thing with that is he will have gone home and he would probably locked himself in a room and he probably would have looked at that over and over again, and you ain't going to see another performance like that from Son again. I guarantee you that.
I hope not. I really do, because it was disappointing, but I give him a little bit. We came up with a draw, so we can't be down on everybody. If we'd have lost the game, we'd have said, "Oh, this," and a lot of people would have been on. Even our own fans would have been on. Why this? Why can't we do? And anyway, let's see what happens come Saturday. Anyway, gentlemen, I think we're going to have to do it. Make sure you guys who are still watching, because I know quite a few have got off to watch the second half of this game because you want to see whether or not Crystal Palace can do it. I hope they do. But make sure you like the stream if you're watching on catch up. Also, like the stream anyway. Put your comments in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel if you are not. Sean, Sid, that is it, gentlemen. Apologies again for those who, seeing this little... I think it's quite a nice side image of me, though. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a nice side image.
Son's got competition now, has he? Calvin Klein, if you're listening and watching, we've got our own model here.
Yeah,
yes, the Spurs shop will be rigging up,
Yeah.
But for those of you thinking I was trying to be a bit vain on the stream, it's only because my camera's not working. But this is my picture on all socials.
Really, ladies and gentlemen, honestly, really, he's gone and bought a pair of them Calvin Klein that Son wore, and you don't want to go on live to show us what he's wearing.
Well, I might actually preview those on Saturday in the crowd because it might be that warm. Oh no, stop. That's too far. Too much now. Too much. Here we go. Did sing before the game. Can't recall. That's why we drew. Craig Goller saying Bissouma is a holding player and can allow Bentancur to move further forward up the pitch. So that's just, I think he's just obviously a little bit of a retort to what you're saying, Sean. But I agree.
I mean that's my preferred duo in midfield. But
I think you're right with the leadership qualities that PH has. I don't think Conte's not going to want him on the pitch where possible, and I think he's one of the two with somebody like with Højbjerg. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We've got plenty of games to come. That is it, gentlemen. That is it. Thank you all for watching again. It has been a different show, but now let's go and watch the second one.
Also, please, everyone, sign the petition that I'm going to start that Anthony Taylor should be refereeing every Chelsea game. Let's start a petition.
Yes, just wind up them Blues. Keep winding them up because they're not. They can't get over it. They just think that they can just turn up. That's what it is. Them days are done, Chelsea. I'm sorry, they are done. We ain't just going to roll over for you and let you tickle our bellies. No more. Right, that's definitely now. Right, Sean, Sid, in the week, we'll catch up. Definitely. Take care. Thank you all for watching again, and we'll see you again soon.
It's just different.